Some people die at 60 and get buried at 85, so what's the difference? Why do some 80-year-olds still walk without holding the railing, carry their own groceries, remember every grandchild's birthday, and laugh loudly at dinner, while some people in their early 60s already feel finished, stiff in the mornings, foggy in conversations, afraid of stairs, and secretly wondering if the best years are already behind them? It's not genetics, it's not luck, and it's some people die at 60 and get buried at 85, so what's the difference? Why do some 80-year definitely not something you can buy in a bottle? It's 7 quiet habits almost nobody talks about, habits so ordinary that most people scroll right past them looking for something more exciting, and modern research suggests the real answer to healthy aging is far simpler than most people assume. Healthy aging is almost never the result of one miracle food, one expensive supplement, or one secret treatment sold in a late-night commercial. More often it is shaped by small, unremarkable daily habits, the kind that don't look impressive on any single day but quietly reshape a body and a mind over decades, the kind of habits you could start today, right now, with zero equipment and zero cost. And here's the encouraging part: it is never too late to start. This is not about denying that aging happens. Wrinkles form, hair grays, joints creak a little more than they used to. None of that is really the enemy here. The real enemy is the slow, largely avoidable decline that comes from years of inactivity, isolation, poor sleep, and a diet built almost entirely around convenience rather than nourishment. That kind of decline is not a fixed, unavoidable part of getting older. It is largely the accumulated result of small choices, which also means it can be gently reversed by different small choices, made consistently, starting today. Long-term studies following tens of thousands of people suggest that combining several of these simple habits can add more than a decade of genuinely healthy, active life, not just years spent in a hospital bed or a recliner watching the world go by, but years spent walking, laughing, remembering names, traveling, gardening, and enjoying the people who matter most. In this video we're going to walk through 7 habits that show up again and again in the lives of people who age remarkably well, people researchers call the outliers, the ones who somehow dodge the slow decline everyone assumes is inevitable. None of these habits require a gym membership, a nutritionist, a personal trainer, or a dramatic life overhaul. They are practical, realistic, low cost, and useful whether you are in your 30s or 40s preparing for the future, in your 50s or 60s trying to reverse course, or already in your 70s or 80s wanting to feel stronger than you did last year. Stay with us until the very end, because habit number 7 is the one almost nobody mentions, the one most people never even think about. Yet many longevity researchers now consider it one of the single strongest predictors of how well someone ages, stronger, in some studies, than diet alone. Before we begin, if you find value in practical, no-nonsense guidance on staying healthy, active, and independent as you grow older, consider subscribing so you don't miss future videos like this one. And if this topic matters to you personally, or to someone you love, drop a comment letting us know which habit you think matters most. We read every single one. Now let's get into it. There is a strange assumption many people carry, that if an exercise feels too simple, it can't possibly be doing much. Walking often gets dismissed this way: no sweat, no soreness, no fancy equipment, no personal record to chase, so surely it doesn't count as real exercise. But that assumption could not be further from the truth. For many people who age remarkably well, walking is one of the most powerful habits they have ever built into their lives, not because it is intense, but precisely because it is sustainable. It is gentle on the joints, it scales to any fitness level from a slow shuffle to a brisk stride, and it is backed by decades of solid research linking it to a longer, more independent, more mobile life. Every single step you take asks your heart to work a little harder, a little more efficiently, and as your heart pumps blood more effectively, oxygen and nutrients reach your muscles, your organs, and your brain more consistently. Better circulation keeps blood vessels healthier and reduces long-term strain on the entire cardiovascular system. This is one of the main reasons regular walking is so consistently tied to a lower risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and stroke. Your lungs benefit too. Walking at a steady, comfortable pace naturally deepens your breathing and makes it more rhythmic. Over time your body becomes more efficient at using oxygen, which means everyday tasks like climbing a flight of stairs, carrying groceries inside, gardening for an afternoon, or chasing after a grandchild in the backyard feel noticeably less exhausting than they once did. There is also a metabolic side to this that rarely gets enough attention. Walking helps regulate blood sugar because active muscles pull glucose out of the bloodstream more efficiently. Paired with a reasonably balanced diet, this can meaningfully lower the risk of developing type 2 diabetes and make it easier to maintain a healthy weight without extreme workouts or restrictive diets. But here is the part that rarely gets measured in a lab: the mental shift that happens on a walk. Have you ever noticed how different your thoughts feel after even 10 minutes outside? Shoulders drop, breathing slows. A problem that felt overwhelming an hour ago suddenly feels a little more manageable. That is because walking does not just move the body, it gives the mind permission to slow down and process. A quiet walk through your neighborhood, a nearby park, or even just around the block becomes a kind of moving meditation. Fresh air, the changing light, birdsong, the warmth of the morning sun on your face, these small sensory details gently pull your attention out of your worries and back into the present moment. And if you choose to walk with someone else, the benefits multiply. A daily walk with a spouse, a sibling, a neighbor, or an old friend creates space for conversations that simply do not happen in front of a television. You talk, you laugh, you share memories, you complain about the weather, or you simply enjoy comfortable silence side by side. These small, repeated moments quietly protect against one of the biggest threats to healthy aging, and that is loneliness, which we will come back to later in this video. You do not need to walk for an hour to see real benefits. If 5 minutes feels manageable today, start with 5. If 10 minutes feels comfortable, that is already a solid foundation to build on. There is no race, no ideal pace, and absolutely no need to compare your walk to anyone else's walk. What matters far more than speed or distance is consistency. A single walk will not change your life, but a walk repeated day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, quietly becomes one of the strongest investments you can make in your future mobility, independence, and mood. And the beauty of it is that it costs nothing but a pair of comfortable shoes and a little bit of time. And unlike so many wellness trends that come and go, walking has been quietly recommended by doctors, physiotherapists, and longevity researchers for generations, precisely because it works, and because almost anyone, regardless of age or current fitness level, can find some version of it that fits their body. Next, think of your body as a house you have lived in for decades. If it is maintained with decent materials and regular care, it stays sturdy for a very long time. But if it is constantly fed cheap, low-quality materials, even a strong structure eventually starts to show cracks. A healthy diet is not about chasing the latest trend, following an influencer's meal plan, or memorizing complicated rules about macros and calories. It is about giving your body what it actually needs to keep doing the things that matter: walking comfortably, thinking clearly, staying strong, sleeping well, and enjoying meals with the people you love. One of the simplest upgrades you can make is filling more of your plate with real, colorful, minimally processed food. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and lettuce bring vitamins and minerals that support bone health, protect the heart, and strengthen the immune system. Fresh fruit offers natural sweetness along with antioxidants that help your body defend itself against everyday wear and tear at the cellular level. Whole grains like oats, brown rice, and whole wheat bread provide steady, slow-burning energy instead of the sharp spikes and crashes that come from refined carbohydrates and sugary snacks. Protein deserves special attention as we get older. Every single year, adults naturally lose a small amount of muscle mass if they do nothing to counteract it, a slow, silent process that quietly makes everyday tasks harder over time. Choosing lean protein sources, fish, skinless poultry, beans, lentils, eggs, or low-fat dairy, gives your body the raw material it needs to repair and maintain the muscle that keeps you moving independently for decades to come. Healthy fats matter too. Foods like salmon, walnuts, almonds, avocado, chia seeds, and olive oil support brain function, heart health, and a balanced inflammatory response throughout the body. The goal is not to fear all fat, the goal is to choose the right kinds in reasonable, sensible amounts. On the other side of the plate, certain foods are worth limiting, not eliminating entirely, simply limiting, heavily. Processed meals tend to be loaded with sodium, unhealthy fats, artificial preservatives, and refined carbohydrates that offer very little nutritional value. Sugary snacks, desserts, and sweetened drinks might feel satisfying in the moment, but consumed too often, they contribute to weight gain, unstable blood sugar, and a higher long-term risk of chronic illness. None of this means giving up every treat you enjoy for the rest of your life. Healthy eating is not about perfection, it is about tilting the odds in your favor more often than not. One habit that is shockingly easy to overlook, even for people who otherwise eat well, is hydration. As we age, our sense of thirst naturally weakens, which means many older adults are already mildly dehydrated by the time they start feeling tired, dizzy, foggy, or develop a headache. A glass of water with each meal, plus regular sips throughout the day, can make a real, noticeable difference in circulation, digestion, joint comfort, skin health, and mental clarity. If plain water feels boring, herbal tea or water infused with a few slices of lemon, cucumber, or berries works just as well and adds a little enjoyment to the habit. You do not need to overhaul your entire diet overnight, and honestly, you probably should not try. Swap one sugary drink for water this week, add one extra serving of vegetables to dinner tonight, choose whole grain bread instead of white bread the next time you shop. These small decisions, repeated consistently over months and years, quietly become a stronger, healthier, more energetic future, and they compound in ways that a single dramatic diet change almost never does. And it is worth remembering that food is not only fuel, it is also culture, comfort, and connection. Sharing a meal with family, cooking a recipe passed down from a parent, or trying a new dish together is part of what makes eating enjoyable, and a healthy approach to food should still leave plenty of room for that joy. Moving on, maybe it takes a little longer to recall a name you used to know instantly. Maybe you walk into a room and forget for a moment why you went in there. Maybe the right word sits just out of reach in the middle of a sentence, frustratingly close but somehow unreachable. These moments can be genuinely frustrating and even a little frightening, but they are also a useful reminder. Just like the muscles in your arms and legs, your brain needs regular exercise to stay sharp and responsive. When a muscle goes unused for long enough, it weakens, and the same basic principle applies to the brain. If we stop challenging it, it gradually becomes less efficient at processing new information, solving problems, and forming new memories. Here is the genuinely encouraging part: the brain remains remarkably adaptable throughout life, a property scientists call neuroplasticity, even well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. the brain can continue forming new connections and pathways when it is given something meaningful to work on. Reading is one of the simplest and most enjoyable ways to keep the mind active. A novel, a biography, even a newspaper article or a magazine, all of it asks your brain to imagine, analyze, remember details, and follow a thread of logic or narrative. Every new page introduces fresh ideas and unfamiliar situations, giving your mind a genuine workout that does not feel like work at all. Puzzles offer a slightly different kind of challenge. Crosswords, Sudoku, word searches, jigsaw puzzles, and chess all demand concentration, planning, and memory, training your brain to recognize patterns and think several steps ahead. You do not need to become an expert or spend hours at it. A few enjoyable minutes each day is genuinely enough to keep your thinking sharp over the long run. Learning something entirely new might be the single most powerful brain exercise of all. Many people quietly assume there comes a point in life when learning should simply stop, that new skills belong to the young. In reality, the opposite appears to be true. A few words of a new language on your phone during breakfast, a musical instrument you always wanted to try, painting, photography, gardening, cooking a new cuisine, or even learning how to use a new piece of technology. Every single time you step outside your comfort zone and attempt something unfamiliar, your brain builds new neural pathways in response. This keeps your mind flexible and reminds you, on a very deep level, that personal growth simply does not have an expiration date. But perhaps the most enjoyable brain exercise of all is one we rarely think of as exercise at all, and that is conversation. A meaningful talk with a friend, a neighbor, a grandchild, or a family member does far more than simply pass the time. As you listen, respond, and recall shared details, your brain is retrieving memories, organizing ideas, interpreting emotions, and processing language all at the same time. An enormous, invisible workout happening behind a completely ordinary conversation. Researchers have found that people who stay socially and intellectually engaged tend to maintain noticeably better cognitive function later in life, and some studies suggest a lower risk of certain forms of cognitive decline. None of these activities require expensive equipment, a special talent, or a formal class. Each small daily challenge simply sends your brain the same quiet message again and again: keep growing. And interestingly, researchers studying what they call cognitive reserve have found that people who kept their minds engaged throughout life, through work, hobbies, or simply curiosity, often show fewer visible symptoms of age-related cognitive change even when changes are present in the brain itself, suggesting that an active mind may not just protect memory, it may also build a kind of buffer against decline. Next up, one of the biggest misconceptions about aging is believing that becoming weaker is simply something we have to accept, an inevitable toll that nothing can be done about. It is true that muscle mass naturally begins declining starting around our 50s if we do nothing to actively preserve it, sometimes faster than people realize. But strength training is one of the single most effective ways to slow that natural decline, and in many cases, rebuild strength that seemed permanently lost. This is not about lifting the heaviest weight in the room or training like a competitive athlete. It is about giving your body the ability to keep supporting the life you actually want to live. When your muscles stay reasonably strong, walking feels more stable underfoot, stairs require noticeably less effort, and getting in and out of a car or off a low couch becomes smoother and far less awkward. You maintain the quiet confidence and independence to handle daily life without constantly relying on someone else for routine tasks. Perhaps most importantly of all, stronger muscles help protect against one of the greatest health risks facing older adults, and that is falls. Good balance does not come from luck alone, it depends on strong legs, a stable core, and muscles that respond quickly the moment you lose your footing. Regular strength exercises improve coordination and reaction time, helping your body catch a small stumble before it turns into a serious, life-altering injury. Strength training also quietly benefits your bones. Every time your muscles work against resistance, whether that is a dumbbell, a resistance band, or simply your own body weight, they gently stimulate the bones they are attached to. This encourages the body to maintain bone density over time, reducing the risk of osteoporosis and fractures later in life. Stronger bones combined with stronger muscles create a genuinely powerful foundation for staying active and independent well into your later decades. Another benefit that often surprises people is improved posture. As the muscles of the back, shoulders, and abdomen become stronger, it becomes noticeably easier to stand upright instead of gradually leaning forward the way so many older adults unconsciously do. Better posture is not just about appearance, it can reduce chronic back discomfort, improve balance, and even make breathing feel more comfortable by giving the lungs a little more room to expand fully. The best part of all this is that you do not need an expensive gym membership to enjoy these benefits. Many genuinely effective exercises can be done right at home with almost no equipment. A pair of light dumbbells works well if you have them, but they are certainly not required. Resistance bands are inexpensive, lightweight, easy to store in a drawer, and suitable for almost every fitness level. Even 2 bottles of water can serve as light weights for simple arm exercises, gentle chair-supported squats, wall push-ups, standing leg raises, or simply rising from a chair several times in a row. All use your own body weight to build real, functional strength safely. The goal is never to exhaust yourself or push through pain, it is to challenge your muscles just enough that they gradually adapt and grow stronger over time. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day, 3 or 4 times a week, can lead to genuinely noticeable improvements after just a few short weeks. Those few minutes may seem small today, almost insignificant, but they can help you continue walking confidently, carrying your own groceries, playing on the floor with grandchildren, and enjoying the freedom that comes from truly taking care of yourself. And if the idea of exercising at home still feels intimidating, remember that consistency will always matter more than intensity. 2 short sessions a week done regularly for a year will outperform an ambitious routine that gets abandoned after 10 days. Then there is this, and it is one researchers increasingly refuse to stay quiet about: long-term loneliness can affect overall health as seriously as some of the most well-known lifestyle risks out there, comparable, in some studies, to the health impact of daily smoking. That might sound surprising at first, even a little dramatic, but it reflects just how deeply our relationships shape both our minds and our bodies. We were simply never meant to go through life in complete isolation. As the years pass, staying meaningfully connected can quietly get harder without anyone really intending it that way. Retirement often means far fewer daily conversations than a working life once provided. Adult children move away to build their own lives. Close friends relocate or become consumed by their own families and responsibilities, and losing a lifelong partner can leave a silence in the house that feels genuinely impossible to replace. Slowly, almost without anyone noticing it happening, days begin passing with very little real human interaction at all. That isolation affects far more than mood or emotional comfort. When we spend too much time alone, stress hormone levels often rise, and elevated stress hormones can weaken the immune system and make it noticeably harder to recover from illness or injury. Feelings of loneliness are also closely linked to depression, anxiety, and a general loss of motivation to stay physically active. The brain feels the effects too. Meaningful conversation challenges us to listen carefully, remember details, express ideas clearly, and respond thoughtfully, all in real time. Without that regular mental exercise, cognitive function may gradually decline faster than it otherwise would. While social interaction alone cannot prevent every age-related condition, study after study consistently shows that people who maintain strong, active relationships tend to experience better memory and a meaningfully lower risk of cognitive decline later in life. Consider a common story that plays out in countless households. Someone retires expecting more time with their spouse, more travel, a slower, sweeter pace of life together after decades of work. Then, unexpectedly, they lose that partner, and everything changes almost overnight. For months, they barely leave the house, eating meals alone in front of the television, avoiding invitations from neighbors because they simply do not feel like talking, sleeping poorly, and slowly losing interest in things they once genuinely enjoyed. Then, one ordinary afternoon, a friend gently convinces them to attend a local gardening group, or a weekly card game, or a walking club. At first they almost turn around and go home. It feels uncomfortable and unfamiliar, but they stay. They meet people with similar interests, share a few small laughs, swap stories, and slowly, without any grand turning point, begin to rebuild a sense of purpose and routine. Their health does not improve because of a miracle treatment, it improves because they reconnected with other human beings. The wonderful thing here is that staying connected does not require a large social circle or an active social calendar. Sometimes it is as simple as calling an old friend you have been meaning to speak with for months, meeting a neighbor for coffee once a week, joining a walking group, a book club, or a community class. If distance makes meeting in person difficult, technology can genuinely help bridge that gap. A short video call with children or grandchildren, even for just a few minutes, can brighten an entire day and help you feel meaningfully involved in each other's lives despite the distance. The most important step, in every version of the story, is not waiting for someone else to make the first move. Reach out, send the message, make the phone call, accept the invitation you were about to politely decline. Relationships grow stronger through small, consistent moments of connection, not grand gestures, and kindness. Conversation and companionship genuinely have no age limit. So if there is one person you have been meaning to call, one invitation you keep putting off, consider this your gentle nudge to finally follow through this week, not someday. And then there is sleep, which is often treated as the boring, forgettable part of the day, the hours when nothing important seems to be happening. In reality, while you rest, your body is quietly doing some of its most essential work of the entire day. It repairs damaged tissue, restores energy, strengthens the immune system, organizes memories, and prepares the brain and body for whatever tomorrow brings. That is exactly why quality sleep is not a luxury or a sign of laziness. It is one of the genuine foundations of healthy aging and long-term independence. As we get older, sleep patterns naturally shift in ways that catch many people off guard. You may fall asleep earlier than you used to, wake up more frequently during the night, or find yourself wide awake well before sunrise. Some people assume this simply means older adults need less sleep overall, but the body still requires adequate rest even if achieving that rest becomes more difficult with age. During deep sleep, the body releases substances that support genuine repair and recovery. Muscles recover from the day's movement, damaged cells are renewed, and the immune system quietly strengthens its defenses against illness. Without enough restorative sleep, the body becomes noticeably slower at recovering from illness, exercise, and everyday stress. Sleep also plays a critical, often underappreciated role in memory. Throughout the day, your brain absorbs an enormous, almost overwhelming amount of information. While you sleep, it carefully sorts through those experiences, strengthening the memories that matter and clearing away unnecessary mental clutter. This is one major reason a poor night's sleep can leave you feeling forgetful, unfocused, or mentally foggy the very next morning. Researchers are also actively studying the relationship between long-term sleep problems and cognitive conditions such as Alzheimer's disease. During sleep, the brain appears to perform a kind of internal cleaning process that helps remove waste products which accumulate during waking hours. Although good sleep alone cannot guarantee that someone avoids dementia entirely, consistently protecting your sleep may genuinely support healthier brain function over the years. The heart benefits from good sleep as well. While you rest, your heart rate slows and blood pressure naturally decreases, giving the entire cardiovascular system meaningful time to recover from the demands of daily life. Quality sleep can also help regulate stress hormones, making it noticeably easier to feel emotionally balanced and calm the following day. When sleep is regularly interrupted or simply too short, the consequences tend to build up gradually over months and years. Poor sleep may contribute to memory difficulties, weight gain, high blood pressure, heart disease, and unstable blood sugar. It can also meaningfully increase the risk of type 2 diabetes by affecting how the body responds to insulin. After a genuinely restless night, you may feel tired, irritable, unsteady on your feet, or simply less motivated to exercise and prepare a healthy meal. For older adults specifically, fatigue can also increase the risk of falls, since attention and reaction time both tend to slow noticeably after poor sleep. Fortunately, a handful of simple evening habits can make real, measurable sleep easier to achieve. Try going to bed and waking up at approximately the same time every single day. A regular schedule teaches your internal body clock precisely when it is time to feel alert and when it is time to slow down. Reduce the use of phones, televisions, and tablets in the hour or so before bed. The bright, blue-tinted light from screens can trick the brain into believing it is still daytime, delaying the natural signals that prepare the body for restful sleep. Keep your bedroom dark, quiet, and comfortably cool. Even small amounts of light or background noise may quietly interrupt the deeper, more restorative stages of sleep. You might read a few pages of a gentle, calming book, practice slow, deliberate breathing, listen to peaceful music, or spend several minutes meditating before turning off the light. Repeating the same relaxing routine each evening sends a clear, consistent message to your body that the day is winding down. It is also genuinely wise to reduce caffeine intake later in the day, since coffee, strong tea, and certain soft drinks can remain active in the body for many hours, even long after you have stopped noticing their immediate effects. Most adults should aim for approximately 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, though the exact ideal amount may differ slightly from person to person. The real goal is simply to wake up feeling genuinely rested, clear-headed, and ready to meet the day ahead. And if sleep has been a struggle for a long time despite trying these small changes, it is always worth mentioning it to a doctor, since underlying issues like sleep apnea or chronic pain are common, treatable, and often overlooked. And finally, we arrive at the habit most people never think to mention when they talk about healthy aging, the one that rarely makes it into a supplement advertisement or a diet plan, yet many longevity researchers now consider it one of the single strongest predictors of how well someone actually ages, and that is having a clear, genuine sense of purpose. It does not need to be a grand mission or a headline-worthy achievement. It can be tending a small garden, mentoring a grandchild through a difficult school year, volunteering a few hours a week at a local charity, restoring an old piece of furniture in the garage, teaching a skill you have spent decades mastering, or simply being the reliable person a neighbor calls when they genuinely need help. What matters, at the core of it, is having a real reason, beyond simply passing the time, to get out of bed each morning and engage with the world. Studies following older adults over many years have repeatedly found that people with a strong, personally meaningful sense of purpose tend to show lower rates of chronic disease, better cognitive function, and in some cases, meaningfully longer lifespans compared to those without one. Purpose seems to influence behavior in quiet, almost invisible, indirect ways. People who have something genuine to look forward to tend to sleep better, move more throughout the day, eat more mindfully, and stay socially engaged almost automatically, without ever treating any single part of it as a chore or an obligation, losing a sense of purpose, which often happens quite suddenly after retirement or the loss of a long-standing role or identity, can leave a void that is genuinely easy to underestimate from the outside looking in. The antidote, thankfully, is not complicated or expensive. It is simply identifying, or gently rediscovering, something that feels authentically meaningful to you personally, a skill worth passing on to someone younger, a cause genuinely worth supporting with your time, a craft or hobby worth returning to after years away from it, and then quietly building your days loosely, flexibly, around that one thing, without pressure, without a rigid schedule, just a steady, gentle pull towards something that matters. And often, the people who seem the most youthful in their 70s and 80s are not the ones with the fewest wrinkles. They are the ones who still talk about tomorrow with genuine anticipation, still have a project half finished, still have someone they are looking forward to seeing. Purpose, in the end, may be the quiet thread that ties every other habit on this list together. Growing older is entirely inevitable, nobody escapes it, but how we grow older is shaped, far more than most people ever realize, by the small, unremarkable choices we make day after day, week after week, year after year. You do not need to transform your entire life overnight, and frankly, trying to do exactly that is one of the most common reasons people give up within a matter of weeks. A short daily walk, a slightly healthier meal choice, a meaningful conversation instead of another hour of scrolling, a few minutes of simple strength work at home, a new small challenge for your brain, an earlier, more consistent bedtime, a genuine reason to get up tomorrow morning. Individually, each of these habits might look small, almost unremarkable, easy to dismiss, but repeated consistently over months and years, they quietly compound into something genuinely powerful: a stronger body, a sharper mind, deeper relationships, and a far more independent, fulfilling life in the years ahead. So, out of the 7 habits we have covered together today, walking, eating well, keeping your brain active, building strength, protecting your relationships, respecting your sleep, and holding on to a genuine sense of purpose, which one will you start with this week? Let us know in the comments below. Your answer might be exactly what encourages someone else reading this to finally take their own first step too. If you found this video genuinely helpful, please consider sharing it with someone you care about, someone who might need to hear exactly this today, and subscribe for more practical, realistic guidance on living a healthier, stronger, more independent life as you age, because a stronger future does not begin someday, in some distant, hypothetical version of your life. It begins with one small choice today. And if you are watching this wondering whether it is too late for you specifically, whether decades of sitting too much, eating poorly, or losing touch with old friends have already sealed your fate, the research consistently says otherwise. Bodies and minds respond to better habits at almost any age. People in their 70s who start strength training for the first time still build meaningful muscle. People who take up walking after years of inactivity still lower their cardiovascular risk within months. People who reconnect with old friends after years of isolation still see measurable improvements in mood and cognitive function. The window for change does not close the way most people fear it does. So whatever your starting point is today, whether you are recovering from an illness, coming out of a difficult year, or simply feeling like life has quietly slipped into old, unhelpful patterns, none of that disqualifies you from starting now. The version of you at 75 or 85 is being shaped, in large part, by decisions being made right now, in ordinary weeks that do not feel especially significant at the time. And that is genuinely good news, because it means you do not need a perfect month, a perfect year, or a perfect decade. You simply need to begin, pick one habit from this video, the one that felt the easiest, the one that felt the most overdue, and commit to it for the next 7 days, not forever, just 7 days, then decide from there whether to continue. Most people who build lasting healthy habits did not start with willpower, they started with a small, almost embarrassingly simple first step, and let momentum do the rest. And years from now, when someone younger asks you how you managed to stay so active, so sharp, so genuinely present in your own life, there is a good chance your answer will not involve a miracle at all. It will simply be a quiet list of ordinary days, stacked one on top of another, until they became something extraordinary.